What are you doing up here? Get off the deck. It's not for turkeys. Get. Yeah, they don't listen. Well, anyways, good morning. We are surrounded by turkeys. These dogs don't do a very good job of keeping them reined in. In fact, I think the turkeys might chase the dogs more than the dogs chase the turkeys. Get out of here. Go back. Get away. Crazy turkeys. Anyways, we were out. Go get them turkeys. Get them. Seem to be down a couple of turkeys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, there's 11. Okay. We had a busy few days. I was going to put out a video, but it got to be too many days in one and too much going on. So anyways, we did get out. We picked up our last 5 swaths of green peas. They were actually still quite tough, but they ran like 50, 60 bushels. So had the whole crop ran that would have been really fun instead of just whatever it was, 4 acres. Then we switched over the tires on our sprayer. So we were planning to desiccate the half section of barley out west because it's just too uneven. There's about 7 or 8 stages of crop over there. So, oh, you can't see. Anyways, I brought Carl down here, but on the other side of Carl, the big wide tires, I'm not sure the numbers. I know some farmers can rattle off those numbers. I can't. I don't know what they are. So anyways, the big ones are off and the skinny ones are on. So when you drive through your crop, you don't tromp down as much. But after we changed them, the weatherman changed the weather and we got like 14 days of blistering heat and no rain coming at us. So because of the crop being in a whole bunch of different stages, it's anywhere from dead ripe, probably under 8% moisture, to still green. So if we would have sprayed it, we would have had to wait another 7 to 14 days for the green ones to dry down. And in that time, that Metcalf barley, the heads get extremely brittle when they're that ripe. And if you get a wind or whatever, sometimes even for no reason, they just fall off and lay on the ground. So instead of waiting for all that, because we had a big weather window, I was like, you know what? We got a nice swather, 35-foot cutting bar, can swath at 6 miles an hour, 20 some acres an hour, 27, I think. I'll just go swath it. So I spent a day and a half. I cut all that barley, laid it all down. And then yesterday we went out and picked up some more. So I guess the day before we had picked up a little bit too, put it on this grain truck, like a load and a half. But when we bring it into the yard, it tests dry, 12.9, but it's 33 degrees. So when you leave it on a hump on the truck, it actually heats. Like it starts to get hotter instead of colder. Because I think in our grain dryer book, just a second, I gotta do up my sweater here. It says, after 30 degrees Celsius, that's when grain starts to release the moisture in the kernel. So it starts to wick moisture away. So when you're harvesting grain at 33 degrees, it's almost like muggy, damp. And then when you stack it 1,000 bushels in a pile, of course the center of that pile starts to do its thing, ferment or heat or whatever it's doing anyways. So what you got to do in that case, and we've done this basically the last 4 years, we get our aeration bins cleaned out, get them all set up, and then we go out and we harvest 10,000 bushels, fill our aeration bins, leave them on overnight, cool that grain down, blow that excess moisture out, and then in the morning we transfer the grain over into our big 12,000 bushel bins, which also do have a form of air, but it's not as efficient, and then leave it in there. So everything does have cables, temp cables, so we can see. We put it in there. It's 33 degrees, 35 degrees. Leave the fans on overnight, and it cools it right down to like 14 degrees. And then in the morning, we can take that out, stick it in the big bins. Of course, you move it one more time, stir it up a little bit, and then there's temperatures in the big bins too, so we can keep an eye on that as we go forward into the fall and the winter. But we did start also dropping straw again with the 9610. I had the 9750 out there 2 days ago. I took the 9610 out yesterday, get them all set up. We blew them all off, greased them all up. So today, the plan for today, I'm going to unload the barley that's on this truck. It's about half full. Then I'm going to sweep it out, and we're going to move all of our yellow peas that had been on air for the last week and a half. We'll move them into a small bin that doesn't have air. Doesn't even actually have cables, but it's only there's two 1,400 bushel bins, whatever they are. We'll put the peas in there, and then we'll have a couple more bins for air. This was funny too. This little cookie sheet, I found this in an old building. This is what I use for my drop pan. I just fire this under the combine. I'm assuming it's roughly a square foot. But that was my losses, believe it or not. I got my concaves closed up to like 0 or 1. I got my fan at about 1,100. And I got my cylinder at about 1,050. So dry barley is quite hard to thrash. And I was pretty impressed with that. I also got to thinking, why do people, this time of year, they're always really big into doing that, showing their losses, showing their, and now the grain marketing thing with the grain prices tanking, they're really, really big into showing how smart they are. And I find it so funny that people do that on the internet, because, I mean, I realize I just did that, but that was a segue into this next statement. You have no idea if I just pulled out 57 kernels or 507 kernels, right? Like, what's the hell's the point of putting this stuff on the internet? I think this truck's out of fuel. I better fill it up once I'm done here. Anyways, that was something that I thought was funny while I was watching last night. Same with the grain marketing videos. People get real excited about that too. They're like, check out how smart I am with grain marketing. And they're like the finance bros of the agricultural world. You know, follow along with me and learn these great grain marketing techniques. And this is a true story. One year, there was a guy from the Cargill grain elevators. I don't know if he worked for them or if he was independent or what the scoop was, but he was somehow affiliated with them. He came down and he was sitting at the table telling me all about how smart of a grain marketer he was, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay, that's great. But what he was telling me for prices were less than the day prices. And I told him that. I said, man, what are you talking about? Like, you're telling me, I think at the time, that you got $8 for all your producers for canola. I said, today it's like 11. And then it was quick to like, yeah, but it wasn't when we sold it back then. And I was like, okay, well, that's because prices fluctuate, man. So if you're gonna just change the graph, and we see that lots, right? We see that in job numbers, in like GDP numbers and stuff like that. There's lots of that going on with climate change, temperatures. These people just manipulate the graph and then kind of BS their way into a good story. So I don't, this kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent. What I'm getting at is I don't really pay too much attention to these people that say that they're experts, because they're either cherry picking their 1-2 times in life that they were really smart and not telling you about the other million times they messed up, or they're just manipulating the graph and it's not quite as it seems. So anyways, this is what we got going. We got yellow peas in this bin. It's not quite full. Air's been on for like 2 weeks. I'm gonna put it in those 2 tiny little bins. Part of the problem is when I started on the yellows, I still had greens and barley and stuff left over in my combine because I was too lazy to clean it out. So the first load of this is gonna be, there's gonna be greens and stuff in it. So other grains is no big deal, but I don't want the greens mixed in with the yellow seed. So as I go down, I'll eventually get that bin full, and then I'll put the bottom in the next one, and that'll most likely all get ground up for feed. These green peas, this bin is full again. When I was augering it out, the fan was blowing the dirt out. It was actually quite efficient. But I'm gonna leave this fan on for another day or 2. And then this bin is empty. This is what we're gonna start putting the grain in. That's how it works. There's just a perforated tube in there. You fill it right up, blow air on it, blows all the heat and a little bit of moisture out the roof. And then the next day you can auger the barley out, stick it in the big bins behind it. The one over there is already full of barley, has a fan on it. So it's a bit, obviously it's a bit more work. A guy doesn't really want to do this, but we got such beautiful weather that we don't want to sit at home and waste it. So we're not going real hard. We're not going flat out haul. We're just taking our mornings, having a nice breakfast, planning the day, taking our time, getting things set up, making sure everything's maintained, greased, serviced. And then around noon, 1 o'clock, we go out, combine for a few hours. The barley is running very well. I'm sure Dave's gonna have some sort of a comment, but yeah, it is running very well. I would say at this point it's north of 60. It's not the best looking stuff. There is some green in it. I was having a bit of a trouble with the first load or two getting all the beards knocked off, but I know my dad has always said when the grain is when it's so hot like this, it seems really hard to thrash the cereals. So I got the cylinder wound right up. I got samples looking way better. So anyways, enough of that. Let's get rolling, get this truck empty. I got to get that auger set up. I got to get the grain back over here. And then I got to, yeah, anyways, we got stuff to do. All right, well, things are happening now. We got our peas moved. This was what I had done to get the AC working. I just made a jumper wire to go across. So this was supposed to bring power to this unit through here, and then this goes just to the fan. This is some sort of a, I forget what it was called, restrictor or I don't know, whatever. But they were like $800-900 at John Deere. And then, whoops, as you looked around, the price got lower and lower and lower until I found one on a site for 50 bucks, which was this one. So obviously, I've said before in videos, I got like a $500 to $1,000 limit before I'll phone a tech. Meaning if I can throw a few parts at it for a few $100, I'll try that, because the tech coming out here is $600-700 just in travel. So I hadn't put this back together all that well because I knew this one was coming out. Now what I am slightly concerned about, and once I get it out I'll show you, is that this one has 2 of these things and 2 of these things, and the one that I bought has 2 of these things, 1 of these things, and a blue thing. So don't know what any of it's called. I do know when I googled these part numbers and the picture popped up, all the pictures show this one without the extra thing. So I'm just gonna assume that it's gonna work. It's very similar. Everything else is the same. So we will see. If I plug it in and life is good, I guess we've got basically a $700 win. And if not, I'm just gonna leave the jumper wires hooked up, because all this does is get you fan speed. So if they're jumpered across, this fan is just full blast. If this thing is in there, then you get slow and medium and high or whatever, which isn't important, right? We can just leave it on as high. I'll just put a switch in there if this doesn't work, but we'll see if it works. All right, so it's in. I don't have it bolted up yet, but that's low speed. And it revs right up to high speed. So obviously this thing works. I assume this one had failed intermittently. We will leave this one in here and see how long it lasts. Good evening. It is now 5 after 6 and it's hot. Like, holy man, the grain coming off the field, at least the temperature gun 37 degrees. So it is dry, but it won't keep like that. It's like sweating out too much of the existing moisture that's in there. Just like incredible. That's something that we've had to deal with the last 4 or 5 years, But my whole entire life, we never had to deal with that. The other thing is, like, knock on wood, fire suppression. It's so hot that I'm pretty sure if you flipped a cigarette, this field would just be gone. And I know Farming with Treasures, my buddy there up north in Rycroft, he sent me a video the other day, or a picture, and there was a field on fire. I guess what happens is a bearing in the machine gets hot, the ball bearings, you know, burn out of it, the grease catches fire, it drips down, lands on the chaff, on the dust, and then whoosh, she's all gone. The machine's gone, the field starts on fire, and like I say, normally for us, that's not even, that wasn't even in the wheelhouse, because we're normally combining like the middle of September and it's 2 degrees and it rained the night before and the combines got frost on them and it's just an absolute nightmare. That's generally the conditions that I've seen in my lifetime, more so than these. You know, you got days like I say today, there's a little bit of a breeze, but it's like, well, that Kenworth said 33 degrees even at 6 o'clock driving out here. So we did bring the trailer with the water tank on it. We just leave it sitting in here. I got the fire extinguishers. We've always found when we've been involved in machine fires that a fire extinguisher doesn't do anything because the steel is so hot. So yeah, you get your fire extinguisher and poof, you put out the initial flame, but unless you got more water, it just poof, starts back up again because that steel is boiling. But hopefully we don't have that issue. We do take the combines in at night, blow them all off, make sure there's no leaks. You know, you try to give them a once over to make sure that they're maintained, but I mean, of course it's something that is just gonna grab you too, right? I mean, they have brand new ones catch fire, so we will see how they do. I think they got 60 acres done here, and we're at like 6,000 bushels off. She says her monitor in that combine says 50, 60. I'm gonna bail in the cab here, but I don't know for sure. I'll go back to say it's never been calibrated, so it's tough to know if that's what it is. We had put might be at like 4,000. I don't know. I've been just running back and forth because we always do this too. We're not a real big efficient operation, so once we get rolling, we're always behind. Like combine makes the first round, we're behind. So we could be more efficient, but I'm very impressed for sure how this barley decided to yield after being droughted out, stressed out, basically every bad thing you could imagine happening to it aside from hail. The grasshoppers are hopping around, they were eating away at it, and it's still putting out. So anyways, I'm gonna get this tarped up, head back home. Dad's in the yard unloading the other truck. We didn't think we were gonna need the trailer on the Super Bee. Normally we have it hooked up, but I thought, well, we'll be able to keep up no problem, and that's proven not to be the case. So tomorrow we might hook the trailers up, or the back trailer up, just to buy us a little more time. Well, good evening. We are what the hell's that noise? It's a good thing I come over here. Oh, seems to be a noise in Carl. Better climb in and see. Noise I've never heard before. Maybe Buddy was in the back. Maybe he turned the sleeper bunk on or something. I'm not too familiar with how this I don't even know what lights are here. What the hell's that? Oh, I guess he had must have thought he needed the fan on. Anyways, some free peppermints. Lucky duck. Get back out of here. Hot in there too. It's unbelievable. Okay. So we were out. We were combining barley. Both combines are back. Dropping straw with the walker machine. Chopping straw with the rotary because the straw is dry. I mean, it's just that rotary is. It's always funny. Whenever I hear them talk about combines, everybody's trying to talk to me about this big 60-foot spread for the straw, and I'm thinking like, oh yeah, I guess we don't grow big enough crops, but I know behind that 9750 on a year like this, it's basically just dust, so it's getting sufficiently spread. Now the walker machine, even when it's spreading and chopping, it doesn't actually do a very good job. So, but anyways, that's that. Tomorrow we got to blow the filters out and blow the rads out. It's hot. It's unbelievably hot. It's 30. It's probably still 30 degrees right now, and it's 36 in the day. The grain's coming off at like 33 to 37. I don't even know why it's so. I don't know if it's just soaking up the sun or what it's doing, but it's hot. So yeah, the barley is running good. Definitely, I don't know, it's got to be north of 60, 70 maybe. I don't know, maybe even higher than that. We got all the air bins filled. The trucks are all empty and the combines are empty, but all the bins that we had the aeration fans on are full. We're gonna blow on them all night long. Yes, the day before last, I went out and I got 2 hoppers full, and I put them in a. What's going on here? Crime. I put them in our single axle grain truck and I left it overnight. It was 33 degrees when I put it on the truck, and it was like 40, I think 48 in the morning. So I think what's happening, the grain is dry. It's testing like 12, 12.9, 11, 11.8, 12.3. Those are the tests we're getting throughout the day. But it's 33, 34 degrees. And in the book for this grain dryer, it says if you, this quad is driving through our field. That's always fun. At 30 degrees Celsius, the grain starts to release the moisture in the kernel. So I assume what's happening is the fact that the grain is 33, 35, 36, 37 degrees, and then it's sitting on the truck in a pile. It's just sweating, and then because it's so hot, the heat speeds up that reaction, and I'm assuming if you left it on that big pile, it would just start heating, molding, and eventually erupt into flames. So we're not going to do that. We are going to combine anywhere between that 2,500 to 10,000 bushels in the day, depending on how things go, how the machinery holds together, if we can keep the machines cool. I mean, when we get into some dusty stuff, you're blowing out the rads all the time to try to keep this stuff cooled down. So kind of whatever we get throughout the day, turn the fans on, cool it down overnight, move it in the morning, put it in the big bins, and I guess just do one of these. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, we're most likely going to have to ship some right off the combine if somebody's taking any, even though the prices aren't very good. Because I do have a feeling we're going to end up with a storage issue. Now that's not because this year was so great. It's because I did keep some grain over from last year, so I would make sure I wouldn't run out of grain to grind for feed. So we will most likely be in a bit of a storage issue. So we should be able to haul some to town either towards the end of harvest or immediately after harvest ends. And that'll allow us to move some grain through the bins too that way. So anyways, I'm rambling. It's hot. I'm dirty, sweaty, I'm dusty, I'm tired. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna get cleaned up, and that's gonna be it. Early morning tomorrow. So as always, thanks for watching, and we will see you all on the next one.